Right, so I'm out for a little drive today, guys. I'm in Cambridgeshire. It's not too far from my home, and I'm out towards a place called Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire. And you'll probably see this linked in with another video that I'm actually making today. But I wanted to do a talk about, somebody asked me, have you seen a spirit? Have you seen a ghost? Do you believe that you've seen a spirit or a ghost? Well, you know me, I don't jump in both feet first. I always like to look at every avenue, weigh up difference, weigh things up objectively, and then maybe come to a conclusion. But I'll never conclude that I have seen a spirit or a ghost. My mind is always set on, look for other answers first, and obviously I always say, well, what is a spirit? What is a ghost? We don't really know, do we? We can't quantify it, as I've said before. But I have had some strange things happen. Now, I'm not sure whether I've told you this story before or not. I can't remember if I did. If I did, I apologise. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more now in a little bit better detail. I'm sorry that the sun's shining down. I'll try and adjust that. Oh, that's a bit... No, that's not great, is it? No, that's not brilliant either. Sorry. I'm trying to get the best thing here. Anyway. So... this happened about, I have seen things that are very strange and very odd, but one of the weirdest things I ever saw was about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years actually, probably, thinking about it logically. What it was is I was doing an investigation out in Lincolnshire, and it was, it used to be a stately home. Can't think of the name of it now, can't remember. If I can find the name out, I'll let you know what it was. But anyway, it was bought by an ordinary family, and they were basically gutting it and putting it back into some sort of semblance of its original self. And they were just going to use it as a family home, but they thought that they'd make a bit of money by hiring the property out to paranormal investigators and ghost groups and what have you, just to put some money back into the pot for the renovations and restorations. So what they did, what we did, we got an investigation there. Anyway, the investigation is neither here nor there for this tale. And we completed the investigation, and we finished around about, I suppose it must have been about 2 in the morning, maybe 2:30. And we'd been there a few hours, but I'd had enough rest. So it wasn't something that I can put down to sleep deprivation. This was a genuine thing. And as I say, I'm not going to say whether it was a spirit or a ghost, but all things taken into consideration, I don't really know. We don't know what ghost is, I've said, but I can't think of another answer for it. So we packed up, got ready, and we all went our separate ways. Some of us went back to Yorkshire, or some of them went back to Yorkshire. I myself, as you know, drove back to Hertfordshire that very morning. And it was very cold. It was around about, I think it was probably November. Yeah, it was about November, early December. And it was a cold, wet, miserable night. This is strange, isn't it? Sounds sort of very stereotypical of one of these ghost stories, as it were. But yeah, it was a very cold, miserable, wet night. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. So I was driving home, and I'd gone through lots and lots of countryside, before I'd even hit a main road, really. And what happened was that there was a car in front of me, and I was travelling not that close behind it, obviously, for health and safety. You don't travel up the bottom of another car. So I was travelling, I don't know, maybe 100 yards behind it, if that, maybe 80 yards, 100 yards. And its headlights were on full beam because there was nobody in front of it, so it had its headlights on full beam. Now, as it passed this field, on the right-hand side, now there's nothing else there, guys, absolutely nothing. On the on the left-hand side, as I was driving, I saw the headlights picked out basically the silhouette of something on the left. It was a silhouette of a person. And I thought, this is odd. It's pouring rain, it's freezing cold, it's a miserable night in the middle of winter. What on earth is this person doing outside? And to top it all, it was a young lady. I couldn't really tell you her age. Can't really give you that much of a description. So they'd gone ahead, and I'd slowed down because I thought, this is odd. And obviously, the first thing you think is the young lady on her own, pitch black, early hours of the morning, freezing cold weather, raining. I can't morally leave her here. I can't just drive off and not try and find out what's wrong, in case she's in distress or she's in a problem. You know, something we'd all do. Somebody's child, isn't it? So, as we drove past, I saw her, and she was just standing there, still. She had a hooded coat on. She seemed to be dressed for the weather, to be fair. She had Wellington boots on, and she had a skirt that just came to the top of the Wellingtons. And in her right hand, she had, looked like it was a carrier bag. It didn't look, it was a carrier bag, I can tell you that much. Now, bearing in mind, guys, this is all happening in the early hours of the morning when there doesn't seem to be, no normal soul would be out. And of course, you do then think things like, well, is it somebody who's suffering from mental illness, bless them? Is it somebody who's split up with a boyfriend and they've dumped her out the car? Because there are some horrible people around. So, as I drove past her, the thing that struck me was her stillness, her lack of movement. There was just something that, when it's like somebody screaming out, when you look at a picture, what's wrong with this picture? Something is wrong with this picture. Something is not right. And that's what it screamed out to me. But obviously you keep your logical head on, and I thought, as I say, I thought, is it somebody who's been dumped out of the car? Is it somebody who's been lost or what have you? Now, there was no properties for around miles in each direction. And this girl was standing on the edge of this field. Still can't work out what it was. It still throws me even today. Anyway, I drove on a bit further, and she had her head down as well. She had her head down and this hoodie coat on. And I drove on a bit further, and I thought, whoa, I can't leave her out there. I'm going to have to turn around and make sure she's okay, bless her. And so I turned around and I drove back. She wasn't there. She was gone. And as I said, there was no houses for miles in either direction. There was no ditches. I walked along the side. I checked the side of the road in case she'd fell down. I just gave it a thorough search. Gone. Vanished into thin air. There was nowhere she could possibly go. Not in the length of time it took me to turn around, which was a few seconds, maybe. If that, not long at all. The bat of an eyelid. There was no houses there, as I say. There was no buildings there. It was just fields. Open and empty fields. Now, that still throws me until today. And I still try and get my head around, still trying to find logical reasons and answers for it. I can't come up with one. I just can't come up with one. I don't know. I haven't got an answer. And I don't think I ever will have an answer. Was it a spirit? Was it a ghost? I don't know. But I just can't think, for want of a better description, what it could have been. Or what she could have been. And as I say, what struck me very odd about it was the fact that she wasn't moving. Not a muscle. Standing there in the pouring rain with her head down and a carrier bag, Wellington boots, coat, skirt down to the top of the boots. I've still got the image in my head. It's vivid. I know people say, well, over time things become grainy and vague, but no, this is very vivid in my mind. I've still got that mental image of her, as I say, burned into my mind, and I don't know. I just don't know. But I'm very reluctant to talk about a lot of the experiences that I have, not that a lot of them, because I don't have that many, let's be honest. I've had a few over all the years that I've been doing it, and some of them you can probably find a relatively good, decent scientific reason for. But this was one of the ones that, out of maybe 2 or 3 that I've had that I can't explain, this is one of the ones that really throws me. I don't know, maybe you guys know, I don't know, you know. I mean, she looked pretty modern dressed, you know, anything from maybe the 70s back, 1970s back. She looked as though she could have easily fitted into any of those decades. Sorry, 1970s forward, or even 60s forward. She looked like she could have fitted into any of those decades without a problem. So, I don't know. I've often been tempted to try and go back there and replicate it, but it's just too far for me to drive on a whim, really. Maybe one day I'll do a quest and see if I can replicate it and see if I can find out what the situation was. I'll have to find out the date that we did the investigation, and then maybe go back there on that date at the same time that I saw her last, and then see what occurs. But yeah, you know, there I was on my own looking for this person, and she wasn't anywhere to be seen, and there was nowhere for her to go. Make of it what you will. Anyway, guys, I will talk to you later. It's just a little story. I don't know if I've told it before. If I have, I'm sorry. If I haven't, I think it's quite a neat little story. Take it easy, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye now.